Hello and welcome. Aquarister here, back with another video, and today we are going to be looking at chest runs. Now, more specifically, I'm going to be talking about the specific territories that I like to run. There are some that I like to run first, depending on the time of the week and if I've pulled my transmog token or not. So today we're going to go into just some of the specific elite zones that I try to make sure that I do most of the time when I'm playing, if I am going to be doing a chest run. So then you also know kind of what to expect out of some of these areas that I myself am also running. Before we fully get into today's video, I do just want to say if this video helps you out, or if you just like it, please drop the video a like. It does help me out a lot. And if you want to see more content like this, including build videos, future farming videos, anything like that, especially with Season 4 coming up, definitely subscribe to the channel so you are notified when those videos go up. And it helps me out a lot because we do have a goal of trying to hit 1,000 subs. So any help towards that goal is very much appreciated. I also do stream throughout the week on Twitch and now YouTube as well, so definitely stop by a stream, say hello, lurk, anything like that. We would love to have you. But let's get into today's video. Alright, so to get us started in today's video, we are going to start with talking about kind of which elite chests or which elite runs I like to do and why, and then we'll kind of go in what order I would do them if maybe I'm only able to run a couple. But to get us started, we're going to talk about Brimstone. Now, Brimstone, a lot of people know that there's a lot of elite chests throughout Brim. You have Wall, Helios, Castrum, Beds, plus all of the acid pools. Now, it's a lot of elite chests. It can be a bit overwhelming for some if they're trying to do all of them. But honestly, if you're by yourself, solo, and you don't want to join a group, just go and do those acid pool runs, because the acid pools can still give you scarabs. Pretty easy to run solo. It's not really too bad. It can be kind of annoying with the acid and everything, but it is an elite run that you can do by yourself and still get some decent loot. Now, with the wall has a lot of elite chests in it, a lot of those glyph chests, and it's pretty quick to run. So if you're a more casual player, the wall is definitely a good one to run. It's not overly difficult, so even a pretty small group can run it pretty easily. So I would definitely maybe suggest going with the wall if you are on more of a time restricted, playing. But yeah, so with Brimstone, as far as the loot goes, Brimstone does not have the best loot. It obviously has scarabs, which were introduced with Brimstone, and that's a pretty big one. And there are some craft mods that you can pull, but overall, Brimstone does not offer the absolute best loot out of every chest. The way I look at it is most of the time, if I'm looking at an elite chest, it's worth it to me if every single chest has something that brings value to me or has a chance at giving value out of every single chest. That's what I'm looking for personally out of an elite run. Now, obviously, there's going to be some very specific gear or loot that you're looking for out of some of these elite runs, and that's going to be a little bit different because then priority shifts because you're looking for something very specific. But in my case, I want the run to be as lucrative as possible for me, whether that's, gear or resources or whatever. So Brimstone definitely, as far as just overall running loot and all that, really, really good. Now, the other one I want to mention is Elysian Wilds, and I'm going to get to why we're starting with these two spots first. Elysian Wilds is a really nice one to run. It's the newer elite area. It does seem like gear score and everything is pretty good there from what I've seen for the gold drops. You have a lot of the artifact farming there. So overall, it's a really good area, and you do have a chance at scarabs. So that leads me into why we are starting with Brimstone and Elysian Wilds. So as a lot of us know, you can get your day or your weekly transmog tokens, and those times set on Tuesdays, right? Tuesday morning, if you log in and play, you'll have a chance at a transmog token for that week, and then by next Tuesday, then you'll be able to get another one. But what I have noticed, and what many of you might have noticed, is if you actually pull your transmog token either in Brimstone or in Elysian Wilds, you're guaranteed to get a golden scarab with it. So I know scarabs aren't the most valuable anymore, but it is a few $100s for some people, and that actually does help. And the thing is if you make sure to run your Brimstone loot and your Elysian Wilds first thing on Tuesdays, and if you do end up pulling that transmog token, you know that you're going to be getting a golden scarab with it. In other territories, you are not guaranteed a golden scarab. In fact, you can't pull a golden scarab out of any of the other territories. So that's where I like to run Brimstone and Elysian Wilds first if it's on a Tuesday and I haven't pulled my transmog token yet. So that's why we're kind of starting there. Brimstone and Elysian Wilds typically are not going to be my absolute first ones that I'll go to if I have the option, unless I am trying to get my transmog token. So I highly do recommend going to Brimstone, going to Elysian Wilds, try to get those transmog tokens there, so you are then guaranteed to get that scarab with it. Now, again, we'll go back to the loot a little bit. Brimstone really does not have the absolute best loot overall, but it does have a few craft mods, stuff like that you could definitely pull. I believe there's some flail craft mods that you could even get. So overall, not bad. Helios, you do have all of the smelters gear. So Brimstone is really, really solid in terms of loot in certain areas or depending on what you're looking for, right? Now, the provisions crates, in my opinion, are not overly worth it. There's not a ton overall in Brimstone as far as the elite runs go, but I don't really go out of my way to grab every single little chest and all of that. It just personally, for me, isn't as worth it. So that leads into, let's go into kind of my next what I would do. So let's say it's Tuesday. I go, I do my Brimstone, I do my, Elysian Wilds or whatever. I pull my transmog token. Let's just talk about the next spot that I think has a lot of value, and that is going to be Reekwater. So Reekwater has a lot of value. A lot of people kind of disregard it because it's an older chest run, and I just feel like not as many people think it's valuable, but it still has a lot of value to it. One being that you can pull Squirming Vines there. Squirming Vines is the craft mod for Shirking Fortification, and Reekwater is the only territory that you can actually pull that craft mod from, so it does bring the value of it up. Now, it might not always be high in cost at all times, but there are definitely moments where it'll go up and down, and you never know when AGS might decide to change something with Fortify or with the perk specifically. So even if you're just hoarding it, it's still something that's worth, a decent amount of gold depending on your server and the meta at the time. The other thing with Reekwater is that the provisions are actually worthwhile because Reekwater is one of the other territories that you can actually pull sugar out of. Now, a lot of you may have seen my sugar video and know that I do farm sugar and I have a decent route in Ebon scale, but there's not really a good provisions run in Reekwater. But because that I can pull it out of the provisions crates and stockpiles and all that, I do go out of my way to make sure that I get every single provisions and every single little chest out of Reekwater, whether that's Sirens or Eternal Pools. So in general, Reekwater is definitely going to be a spot that you do want to try to, make sure you're grabbing every single chest if possible, including the provisions. So that's what I look for out of my elite runs, though, is every single chest valuable to me. And Reekwater definitely, I would say, is worthwhile. All right, so next, let's talk about Shattered Mountain. So Shattered Mountain is definitely on the fence for me in terms of if it's overly valuable or not. Provisions-wise, I don't really bother with it. There's nothing that I specifically need from those provisions crates as far as I know, so I don't go out of my way to get any of those. Now, when let's talk about mines first. So with mines, a lot of people don't like running it. It's a little bit chaotic for some, depending on the chest run, and not a lot of people are going there as much anymore. You can still pull some decent loot out of mines. In general, though, it is pretty low on my list in terms of spots that I'm going to hit. Now, I used to run it a lot because you could get the armorer's hat and all that there. But honestly, I don't go out of my way to specifically try to do mines anymore. Now, Merc is one that I actually ran quite a bit when I was trying to get my Abyss and Grey Wizard hat. And honestly, once I got those, I kind of quit running it. Now, if you do like doing portals and all that, and you see that they're up in Merc, definitely go for it. It is a really good opportunity to potentially pull those artifacts. So if you are looking for those artifacts, this is one of those moments where priority kind of shifts around, because if you need the artifact, then running it with a Merc group makes it a little bit quicker and easier to get some of those portals done. So that is definitely an option for Merc Guard, and I know that a lot of people are still trying to run Merc, so there are a decent amount of opportunities to actually go and run Merc Guard with some bigger groups. All right, so now that we've kind of talked about the Brimstone, Elysian Wilds, we talked about all the other spots, time to talk about my absolute favorite elite zone, which is Imperial Palace. In my opinion, Imperial Palace is the absolute best elite zone in the game in terms of if it's lucrative or not. I will grab every single loot chest along the way in Ebonscale. There is so much value in Ebonscale, and I cannot stress it enough. If you only have one option to go for an elite run, go to Ebonscale. Ebonscale is just, it's great. There's so much to offer. So looking at, let's talk about craft mods. So craft mods, you do have the Star Metal Weaponsmith Charm, which is one that's maybe not as valuable for some people, but for some of us, it's nice to have that on hand in case we do some crafting, anything like that. And it does drop out of Ebonscale. The other thing too is there are a lot of other weapon craft mods that do drop there. I don't have a big list of all of them. There's so many different craft mods in different spots they drop. I'd have to look up each individual one, but I have pulled some of the various weapon mods there and been pretty happy with it. So every single loot chest, supply crate. Now, as far as the provisions, it is, as many of you know, Ebonscale is great for sugar. So if I do my sugar route and then I go and do an Imperial run, you can come out with probably 100 plus sugar if RNG is in your favor for sugar. So it does add up, depending on what sugar is going for on your server. That is, extra money that you're running. So now the other thing with the looting is the schematics for furnishing items. And Imperial Palace has very specific loot to it because of those schematics, because of those furnishing items. And me being a furnisher, I really like pulling that stuff, as well as just the excitement of getting something that is only available in one territory. I don't know, there's something about it. It just makes me happy when I pull that stuff. But Imperial Palace overall is fantastic. Like I said, you have the craft mods, you have provisions crates, you have the furnishing items, and if you don't care about keeping that stuff, then you're going to make some money off of it, because some of those schematics for furnishing items are still selling for 500 to 1,000 plus, depending on what you pull, some being significantly more. And then you also have the chance at the very, very rare goldfish bowl that many of us have heard about. Some have seen, some have not. I am still on the search for it, as many are. But that is the only place that you can pull it, and it is just a major flex, or it's a ton of gold if you end up pulling it. So overall, Imperial Palace is my favorite elite spot. I love running it. You can run it solo. There's only 3 chests that are a little bit tricky to get solo. It is possible, but it is very difficult to get those 3 chests. The rest of them are really easy. So if you do want to see my solo Imperial run, definitely let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll try to throw together a video. We'll try to get a clean run of it so I can show you guys kind of how I like to run my solo Imperial runs. You don't get every single loot out of it, but you can at least get to most of the elite chests and get access to them, giving you more opportunity to potentially pull that very, very rare goldfish bowl, because that is kind of the item to pull. But again, not many people pull it. It is very, very rare, but it's very, very cool when you do see someone pull it, because you know how rare it is. But that's kind of what I look at for elite runs. As far as, let's put this in rank. So in terms of rank, obviously Imperial is going to be my number 1. Reek is going to be my number 2. Brimstone number 3, Legion Wilds number 4, and then Mines and Merc kind of taking up the rear there. Just kind of, if there's a world tour going there, I might join with. If someone just wants to run it, or if I'm just running loot testing stuff, then sure. But that's kind of the order that I like to go in. And like I said, Imperial is my number 1 for just being lucrative and getting the most bang for my buck, essentially. It is really, really nice to be able to loot every single chest and have an opportunity to potentially pull something that is valuable. Now, if there are some of these other elite runs that are valuable to you for specific reasons, please let me know down in the comments, because I'd really be curious to know, so then maybe I can go start searching for some of that loot, or look at some of those reasons and decide if it's worthwhile for myself. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of what my favorite elite zones are. So definitely let me know, though, if you have a favorite zone yourself. All right, that is going to do it for today's video. So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I do want to thank everyone for all the support you guys have been giving me on YouTube especially. I really do appreciate it. It helps me to keep making content. We do have that goal of getting to 1,000 subs, and you guys are really helping me get that much closer. And it's kind of crazy because 1,000 subs seems so far away, and now we're actually getting close, and it's becoming more realistic and really, really cool for me. So I do appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving me. I can't thank you enough. It really does mean a lot. But yeah, so this that's gonna do it for today's video, though. You know, elite runs, again, in the last video I saw some mixed comments of some people really loving elite runs, still some not. But I hope this video kind of points those who want to try out some elite runs, or those who are already running it, point you in the right direction of what's kind of worth your time, because I know there's a lot of casual players out there that maybe only have certain time to invest in the game, and I want to make sure you are investing your time to benefit you the most. So hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, let me know down in the comments. Definitely, I do like seeing you guys chatting and talking. It really does help me kind of get better ideas of what to give you guys for content. But that is going to do it for today's video. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.